warm-up act and it won't be that. So I'm kind of okay with that.
Do you want to say anything about accessibility in gaming?
I mean, it's not an area I know masses about, let's put it that way. No, I've got an amazing friend who you definitely should talk to, Amy Kavanagh, who...
Big fan of hers on Twitter.
Yeah, so she is visually impaired and she does Twitch
streaming.
Yeah,
this show gets streamed on Twitch.
Not that she twitches, that's a different kind of disability.
Yeah. That's bird watching, isn't it?
Twitcher is a bird watch. Yeah.
So many options.
So many Twitches.
But I know she's probably into it and far more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am. I think, because I mean, with my disability, because really my thing is I'm quite okay as long as you don't ask me to run or tap dance or, you know, stand up for too long. And I might just
games where you have to do
something.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think unless I'm going to be jumping on a Wii and leaping around a room, I'm probably okay with most things.
Look at you knowing what a Wii is.
Only because my brother had one.
Do you feel sad about that, though? Do you feel sad that that it's not accessible to you?
I think, I vaguely remember when, like, Gareth died and the Wii was suddenly available and Harry was kind of like, oh, do you want it? And I was kind of like, no, mate, I can barely walk. Why the hell would I want something? But there was part of me that was kind of like, actually, that would be a really fun way to exercise. And I'm always looking out for ways I can exercise as a wonky person. I say always, like I did my first exercise in 6 months yesterday and it involved a weighted hula hoop purely to prove an ableist on Twitter wrong. But it's great, highly recommend. But I think, there was definitely a moment at that point where I was just like, that's another thing I can't do. But I think it was more associated with the exercise element than not, because when I first became disabled, I did a lot of sport. Like I did wheelchair basketball, I did a triathlon in my chair, like I properly went for it. I was doing a 20k race in my chair at one point. And I knackered my shoulders. Shocker. Like literally anyone could and should have seen that coming. But I think that's the bit that I struggle with the most. Not necessarily the game element, it's the I want to be able to exercise.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. But I just basically was like, you know, we can't have disability activist Dr. Hannah Barron-Brown on and not mention accessibility and disability.
I mean, definitely it's something that we need more of. Yes, disabled people deserve equal opportunities to game and access for all and all that sort of stuff. I just don't know anything about it.
That's fine. We'll get Athena on to talk about it. And we have talked about it as well before. We've done a whole show on it. So it's fine. But I'm stalling for time because I thought we should all see Hannah with the hula hoop.
I think we should.
Oh,
I love this picture.
It's just
great.
I was so happy to prove that Ava is
how happy you were.
You do look really happy.
I was so happy.
It was brilliant. All right, so I think, you know, because we still haven't convinced you at all that you need to do gaming, so I think we need to delve into why it is we game, what it is that makes us want to game. So for me, like, gaming is a huge amount about, and I so know I'm stealing a bit of Jem and Alex's answer, but it's all right, I'll be brief. You guys can expand on this. For me, and I think for everybody, the key word is often escape. It is escaping into a different world. What that sort of world is always going to vary from who it is and how you want to do things, whether it's where you want to be some sort of warrior fighting for good and charging down things, or, you know, frankly, what my biggest sort of like guilty pleasure thing is that I actually, when I'm really, really stressed and I've had a terrible time during the day, like, Jem, I don't know if you notice when I log on to Steam, but like you will suddenly see me playing Cook Serve Delicious 3, which is where I am in a food cart, actually in a post-apocalyptic world, but that's really kind of a side bit of it. I'm in a food truck making meals for people. Like you have to serve like 200 meals in about 10 minutes just by typing. It's, for me, my most stress-relieving thing. It is the most calming thing in the world, making 50 beef Wellingtons by typing WRSU, enter, send, and just it's off there, and I love that. But I know, I'm weird. But I have all these other games where it's like, depending on the kind of world I want to escape into, it is for me, the world is a horrible, dark, shitty place a lot of the time, and it is somewhere nice that I can go where no one's going to be horrible to me. I can adventure. I have control. I think that's a good word as well. I mean, Alex, I'm going to stop talking before I steal everything that you and Jen might want to make. But what is it about gaming for you?
It's mainly escapism, but I'm also going to jump on what you just said there, which is you're in control. That's what I like about it. If you want something, if you choose you want something relaxing, you can chill out and just have a really chilled game you want to play. If you want something that's action packed, you can pick that as well. You can, if you're not enjoying it, you can simply turn it off, which I did the other day. I mentioned in one of my previous examples in the last episode we did about a game called Wreckfest that I realised I just wasn't enjoying. I turned it off, moved on, end of story. So I like that you're the one that's in control. If you want a game to be easier, you can turn it down. If you want it to be harder, you can turn it up. But also, you can be pretty much anything, not everything, because obviously there's a lot of games that are failing on representation at the moment, which we have also discussed previously. But I'll give you an example of the 3 most recent games I've played. In one of them, I'm a spy. In another one, I'm a Viking. And then in another one, I'm a plus 60-year-old woman called Roberta, who's a bus driver and drives around London and likes to watch Egyptian documentaries in her spare time. So it's just really fun. And it's definitely my escape, for sure.
Sorry, that just floored me slightly.
Yeah.
Well, come on, what is it? Why is gaming so wonderful?
I'm probably going to overshare a little bit here, but
Excellent.
I can share with you all that I have had a really challenging 2 months, 6 weeks, or whatever. I don't know. It's a long time. My dad was very, very ill and died just 6 weeks ago, and then 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, one of my cats died, and I'm going through all sorts of stuff with my daughter and her schooling, and it's just been thing after thing after thing on top of me at the moment, and it has been extremely stressful. And I attend a women's group which we've been doing online once a month over all of the lockdown, and which I heartily recommend, because I just think women talking about life is just such a wholesome experience, and I think we're experiencing that now. I just think it's just such a positive thing to listen to other women experience it, and their life experience, and just sharing your experiences. And I went to this session. It was the first face-to-face session I went last week, and one of the other people that attends had also been having a really tough time of it, because so many people have. And I said, you know what? I think what you need is to game, because. And she did look at me slightly horrified, because she's not even remotely into gaming, but. Because for me, the only thing that has given me respite from all of these stresses and strains has been to go into a computer game and to just not be in this world, and to be in something else. And I think Caroline's right. It depends on my mood as to which game I'll pick. Whether I want to be, some mighty adventurer on a major quest, or whether I want to be micromanaging, the lives of little people, and it's really nice just to go into that. And I love to listen to podcasts, and I do that a lot when I'm doing my practical work. And I was listening to one while I was playing one of these games, and I just was like, didn't hear any of that, because I was concentrating so hard on what was going on in the game that I wasn't able to even just listen. And I think it's just a way to step outside of whatever's going on in your day-to-day life and just give yourself a bit of a mental break, in the same way I think that reading does. I think watching TV is a little bit too passive for that same mental break, but what's good about game is it's an active sort of use of time, and I think that's the thing that really appeals to me, that my brain is still working. There's still an intellectual thing going on there, but I'm not having to think over and over about whatever it is that I'm trying to get away from, or I'm trying to just have a pause from, really. So I have found gaming has been so supportive during this time and at other points in my life. And I think it's definitely about a balance. I've definitely gone too far down the gaming route in my life, but I think, it can be a really positive form of escape.
Before I let Hannah speak, which I must let her speak in a bit, but I just, on that, it just made me think as well, because obviously, Hannah, I know you're on the ADHD path of, sort of exploring that world, and I am one of those people who's just gone, I'm not going to bother with trying to get the diagnosis, and we all probably know I am, but it's fine. But I think as well, we've both talked about the need to do something with your hands. And for me, the big thing as well with gaming is that as you say, Jen, watching TV is too passive. I have to do something else. Yeah. You got to squeeze. Is that a baby Yoda?
It is, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your point.
I've nearly bought one so many times.
It's like, when I'm doing this show, one of the reasons that I'm constantly drinking and eating crisps is, again, that need to do something with my hands and stuff like that. And I think gaming is the one form of media that totally allows me to relax, because it completely consumes my hands, my brain, and my eyes. So how have you taken all of those thoughts in?
I think it's really fascinating, because I think you're right. Like, I am literally sitting here right now on edge because I'm not knitting whilst talking to you. Like, the need to be doing something else is, like, I'm the woman that revised for med school finals with the TV on. I have to have multiple forms of stimulation all the time. It's exhausting. So I completely get that. I think I am somebody who, like, I will watch TV and knit. I will read a book with music on. Like, I can't just ever do one thing at once, and it drives people around me completely mad, because they're just like, just stop. I think it's a really weird one, because I get the control thing, and I am a complete control freak, as Caroline will tell you.
Did I nod then? I didn't.
You nodded furiously. I am not good at not being in control, and I think that's probably why I do the job I do, is because I like to have a plan at all times. So I get that, and I wonder whether maybe my reticence is because actually I quite like being able to just hide with a book and not have to control anything, because I spend so much of my life doing so. So yeah, I don't know whether there's an element of that in it, but I think the escapism thing is very real. I mean, like, behind me there are probably 800 books in this house, and that's partly because my mother is a book reviewer and just will not let me leave her house without a bag of books. Partly to get them away from my father, because her house is literally floor to ceiling books. But I read somewhat prolifically, and that's something that I can do, wonky body, whatever, in any position. I can hide and read. So yeah, it's really interesting that I've never tried gaming, and I don't know what my personal reticence to it is. I feel like I've got a lot of barriers in my head of why I don't want to. I think part of it is that I know that I am a very ADHD or look a new hobby person, which will take over my life. And I'm also, like, pathologically busy. So far too much of the time, she said, from a position of some substantial burnout, I'm working or I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I will finish this podcast, I'll do some emails, and then I'll probably go to bed with a book.
And this was a big thing at the TED London Women last year. I really wish I could remember the name of that, and I will put it in the notes somewhere, because it was an amazing talk. It was one of the, for me, it was I hate to say it wasn't the best, because it was my second best. That's terrible. But anyway, it was one of the two standout talks from TED London Women for me. It was a woman who gave an amazing talk on the importance of rest. and how it is something that we as women do not put in our schedules, do not like, right, well, I've got to be working or I've got to be sleeping. And I think, Jem, you and I have both said a lot about how what's been lovely about doing this podcast is it's kind of given us permission to game.
Yeah.
In our busy lives, we've gone, well, you know, I've got to spend a couple of hours gaming because otherwise what am I going to talk about when I'm doing gaming? It's really been, and for me, that's actually been amazing because I've always gamed a lot. And over the last few years, I've gamed a lot, but I'm now gaming and not feeling guilty. I'm doing important research, like as I posted online about the Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, at the weekend, I was just like, I'm going to give the Elder Scrolls Online a go, which is an incredibly immersive multiplayer game where, like, I'm basically committing to thousands of hours of play here. And I was like, I'm probably not going to really like it. Maybe I won't get into it. And then I just stopped, and the scenery was so beautiful. And there was a bird just flying past, and I just recorded it just so I could share it of like, this is the peace of just, I'm not even doing a mission or a quest right now. I'm just